let's continue the process of setting up our stretchy limbs. So we now have our right leg stretching and it's looking pretty good. Let's say we go ahead and add our objects to their right groups. What we'll do is go ahead and select our distance locator for the, or both of them rather. Okay, and we'll want them right underneath our hidden transform. So we'll go ahead and just control click that and hit P. So now that's hidden. And we'll add our distance leg right there to our extra group. Hit P. Okay, so once this is done, everything should work right? We go to our character move, we move him around. Notice everything seems to be working fine. Wow. We'll go to our rotation, and yeah, everything's good. Hat's still there, but that's fine. We'll get to that. But watch what happens when we go to our scale, and we do want to make sure we test out everything. So we scale it down. It looks pretty good, but what happens when we scale it up? Whoa, this leg is getting way out of control, way out of whack. This is not what we want. Okay, we want everything to be scaling concertedly together as it should. So what do we need to do to fix this? Well, this is going to involve using now our little window that we've made. So we'll go ahead and bring that up, our node generator, and we're now going to need our multiply divide node. Okay, and what we're going to be doing is basically setting it to division and tying that to our expression as well as tying it to our scale so that once everything works together, we will get that uniform scale that we desire. So let's work on setting that up. Now we could bring out our handy dandy hyper shade. So let's go ahead and show that. And I do have it set right now, so we just see the bottom, the lower level. Okay, we can go select that from at the top menu. But once we've managed to do that, okay, just to help so we can see everything clear, we'll make our multiply divide node now. There it is. Okay, and with it selected in our hypershade, let's double click it so we can get to its attributes and switch it to divide. Remember, that's why we labeled it div, so we know, okay, we need to divide this. But now, what do we need to do next once this has been done? Well, basically, our divide is going to need for its input 1x as well as input 2x the same measurement that we gave for the max distance for our leg stretch. So if you remember, that was a value of 90. So let's go ahead and put those two in, 90, 90. Now that this has been done, we want to go ahead now and tie this distance, or this multiply divide distance node, or what we're going to use it to help our distance out. We're going to need to tie that into our expression. So rather than using 90, since we have that value already in for our input 1, x, we're going to go ahead and tie that right into our expression. So let's go ahead and do that. We can, for now, just close out or minimize our node generator and bring back our expression. Go to stretchy limbs and get to work. So what we need to do is basically switch this 90 again to our div node. So since we're going to be using quite a bit of these, let's go ahead and give it a different name. So with it selected, we'll call this div, so we know what it is, underscore r underscore leg, so we know where it is associated with. So that's the right leg. Now that that's done, we need to basically take the name, so we'll just copy it, and in our expression we'll go ahead and paste it over the 90. Okay, then we need to say the input x, not just the whole input, but the input x. That's what we want to tie it to, since it has a value of 90. And remember, once everything's connected, it's all going to work together very nicely. This is another enjoyable thing about rigging. So now we put dot, okay, dash, or the dot telling us now we need to add the variable name. All right, so now that variable name is going to be input 1 x. All right, going right here. This is the x attribute. So now that we have this, and now that we know it's equal to 90, we'll go ahead and copy this name, and we'll paste it wherever we have the value 90. Okay, so we'll paste it there, we'll paste it to the next 90, and we'll paste it to the next 90. Wonderful. So once all of these things are done, Everything should be okay now to hit edit to switch or to basically reload our expression, and notice no errors, everything's working fine. Okay, so if we minimize our expression editor, even minimize our hypershade, we'll notice that when we select our control, it's still going to work as we need it to. Now we need to make sure that it is tied to our scale. But here's something that we need to be mindful of. If we go to our scale, we can get to our there via our outliner. We can see that the scale will connect it to. Okay, we can just select one of these attributes, and I usually just go with Y. It's just a preference of mine. But the scale is set to 1, not 90. So what type of math are we going to need so that when we tie it into our expression, this 1 will equal 90? All we need to do is simply multiply this number by 90 to have them match up. It's as simple as that. Very basic math. So knowing that, let's go back to our expression editor, bring that back, and we're still going to need this line. So if we need to, let's go ahead and copy it again, this divide node that we've made, and the input. So let's make sure we have that. We'll make another expression. We'll make a new one, and we'll call this div underscore scale underscore limbs. Okay. So now all we need to do is go ahead now and put in a a comment and say this is for our legs, okay, to get them working right. And now we need to paste in our divide node, okay, and we say this is equal to our scale. Okay, so we'll put in char scale 01 dot sy. Again, you can use either or, but I like to use the y. It's just a preference of mine, but we'll use that and say it's equal to that times 90, so they'll all be matched up, so nothing will work incorrectly. Everything will work right. Now with this done, if we go ahead and hit create, notice everything's working fine. If we minimize our expression editor, notice, okay, everything is working right. If we go ahead and go to our hypershade, select our divide node, notice it's tied now to the scale, and it's still set to 90, so everything's fine. But watch this. When we get to our scale and scale that down, yeah, it's working good. When we scale it up, it is still working fine. Everything is moving uniformly. So this is really cool. Another really enjoyable thing about rigging, and you know, just when you start to apply these things, you can there's, as they say, no limit to how much more control you can add to your rigs. So this is really cool. Well, with all of these things done, we now need to go ahead and add that to our left side. Okay, so what we'll do is stop the lesson here, and the next lesson we'll go ahead and set up everything for the left side, and we'll also see if we can add that on-off switch on both legs so we can complete the setup of our legs and move on to the spine.